back to that original screen just one time. Here's where we were. From the current slide, we were back around here. This is my contact information and my telephone number. And what we want to do is start off with you and just first go back, and first I want to make sure you think to yourselves, which website are we talking about? So for instance, there's the District 68 website, which is d68tm.org, as well as the Toastmasters.org website. So just initially wanted to make sure we go on to this one to show you what we're talking about, that if you're not sure that this is the website, this is not the one we're going to talk about tonight, but I want to make sure everyone's familiar with this one, as this is also where the webinar started from this evening. But there are all sorts of opportunities and resources for you here, including the complete list of our leaders, the entire leadership team. So if you're not sure specifically who's involved in our leadership team, you can go through District 68 and go look at all the different people that are here. So Denise, your name should be on here as well, correct? Anyway, and our program quality director, Annie Savati, you can get people's contact information here as well. So again, the key that I wanted to make sure you're aware of is that we're looking at both websites. The one we're going to do tonight is our Toastmasters.org website, since lots of times people are in the wrong one. So let's just pretend, for the sake of an argument, that this is the one we're going to start with. Sometimes you have different security screens that start you with, and what you necessarily need to get to figure it out. Hold on a second. So our home screen, for instance, for Toastmasters.org is sitting right here. How many of the people on the screen presumably have all been through Toastmasters.org, have seen this set of screens, and are in a position to be able to show members where they would like to connect, especially if it's a prospect? So before we even get into the where we're going to log in and work with the officers, I wanted to show you a set of screens that whether you're logged in or not, you're in a position to be able to show to a new member. So these are the links that I would suggest you consider making available to any of the people that are contacting you for information. The most notable of them is this Toastmasters Member Club Experience. There's also member testimonials, a brief description of the educational program, and then probably the most common one for folks that haven't necessarily been to the website before is they'll ask, where are there other clubs? So you might start them with this find a club. You might then get them to this video. We'll get connected to this in just a second, and testimonials. And people ask, what about the education program? So let's just quickly go from here into the find a club link. We'll just head on that one real quick. So you can include all of those as part of an email. Not sure exactly why we're having to go through these each time. So there's the Toastmasters.org, and easily when you're at the main screen, you can get back to find a club. Hold on just a second. We'll go through it this way just in case. Not sure why it's asking me to go back through and log in every time. So find a club gives you an opportunity to see where you are. In this case, supposing I just listed 70448 to let me know where Louisiana, Covington is, and then search within 25 miles of that radius, and it'll show the clubs that are up in my particular area. So the couple in Hammond, 3 here in the Covington area. There's one up north of us, but that's not listed here for Angie because it's more than 25 miles away, and there's the Slidell Club. So as a for instance, if you had wanted to instead, you could simply stand here and say, what I'm looking for is New Orleans, Louisiana instead. Also helps you if you can't spell. And you could have increased your radius to say, I'm interested in clubs that are within 50 miles of New Orleans, and then go back through that search, and you'll get a map that shows the clubs in the area all the way across to the North Shore, including our club in Gray, Louisiana. So then it's pretty straightforward to people to be able to zoom into their website and get close to where they'd like to be so that they can see more clubs or find a particular area. If they'd like to, they can be even more specific and just say, I'm looking for the clubs that meet on Tuesday and are in the evening and that are open clubs, and then submit a search for those. And that'll show you that there are 5 clubs in the Metro New Orleans area that meet. So here's the one that meets over at Chalmette. That's Tina's club. Here's the West Bank Toastmasters Club that meets every Tuesday here in Gretna. You can also look up the club information. We'll get to that in just a second. Or you can go look at various clubs, the Jefferson Club, Naturally Nolens. Okay, so now here's what I want to do. Let's take a look at the West Bank Club as a for instance. And okay, so for the West Bank Club, you can send an email to the club and it'll give you the contact information, which just so happens to be me for that particular club. Or you can check out their website, which in this case probably goes to their Toastmasters, their free Toast host web link. We'll get rid of that one. And then their club directions and view the club's details. So if you wanted to know more about a particular club, this is the way, this is the phone contact information. They've not yet changed it from me being the contact to the location and the library, plus Tuesdays from 6 to 7 p.m. and then getting to their website. You can email the club from here. This is the first thing that I'd like you to give consideration to if you're managing either a club or you're an area or division director. And we mentioned this at our Vice President of Membership training, is make sure that either your club or if you're an area director, your clubs in your area have the correct contact information here, so that the people who are going to receive that information get the correct information from individuals when they call up. At one point in time, we had a phone contact information for our club that said, leave a message, and that's all there was. So you can imagine how awkward that might be for an individual just trying to get started for the very first time. Okay, now back to what we were talking about before. There's finding a club, there's also this member experience. So this is a link that I just wanted to make sure you all see and that you have an opportunity to connect to. Again, not really sure why it's feeding out of there. This club experience link is a video that talks about, turn the volume down a little bit. It's a video that talks about the club experience and lets people and what they're going to perform.
Let's welcome Leslie up to share her secrets of Texas.
So they're going to give you an example of how the meeting functions. If you've not seen this before, I would encourage you to remember that amongst all of the materials, there's a lot of tutorials that are available to us. Turns out that it's on this link right here, logos, the resources rather, the resource library, and then all of those different videos are available to people from that resource library link. Let's go back now to our link again. Testimonials are the same. They come from the membership link and then the education link. So now let's go back up to our next piece, because now what I'd like to do is make sure everybody at the minimum has gone through this login to Toastmasters, because there are links that are on the basic website that if you provide them to people and you can see them as a club officer, they may not necessarily be able to see them as an individual. So let's start with this Toastmasters.org login, and then from there we'll go to the club officers tools. So let me just start here, and then we'll get connected to that so that you can see. In my case, I had joined a long time ago, so I don't have to use my email address. I guess I could technically if I wanted to use my email address, like most folks would be. so used to entering my own member number there. And then your password. My member number instead. Okay, so I'm logged in as myself, and then one of the very first things you're going to do once you're logged in as yourself is go to Leadership Central, and then either Club Central to manage your materials or Club Officer Tools. I'm going to start out with Club Officer Tools because these are the items that I think most people aren't actually seeing much of the time. We're going to go through Club Central, Club Officer Tools, and these Distinguished Performance Reports. Turns out Distinguished Performance Reports and Club Central, Club Officer Tools, you can all get to without ever having logged in. But let's go to these Club Officer Tools first. So I'm going to click on that link. And here are a complete list of items. So for instance, there's a lot of folks who went to the training who we showed them the tutorials. So you could start out just with the person's roles, the physical discussion about the president, and look at a tutorial, or the VP of Education, or in my case, we did Vice President of Membership. But sometimes they also have resources for you as well. So in our case, if you're going to go ahead and look at the tutorial, there's a complete discussion available to you as to how that officer role is supposed to be managed.
Congratulations. Your club elected you their vice president member. That when it comes to membership building and your
so you can see,
responsibilities
this is essentially what we conducted for people at training.
Meeting quality, club success, and member relations.
And that's basically the essence of that VP of Education, VP of Membership training that we conducted. So again, it's available for every one of the roles. And I think there's a lot of times people just forget that all of that stuff is at your availability. So again, from the home, Leadership Central, Club Officer Tools. We'll go back to Club Officer Tools again. We were under the roles, the tutorials you could get individually or through here, the resources for chartering clubs, and then additionally Club Officer Resources. Now there's a lot of times where people go through and they say, I don't have any idea where the brand manual is. I don't have any addition where I'm going to go get branded materials or the link for the Toastmasters Promise. Here's a whole section that you can go through for promotional flyers. So a lot of times, if you're just looking for a flyer to promote, to pass out to people in your organization, here's the Club Coach Program and other materials that go with that. So you can go ahead and use these materials. A lot of folks have never been in this piece before. There's a club dues receipt here, for instance, that lots of folks aren't available, and they're mostly available to download. Again, there's 6 or 8 versions of these, or you can look them up simply from a list here, different types of files or different categories. In my case, I go in to get a lot of pathways materials this way. So again, just as a reminder to folks, if you're coming in from the beginning, you're going to go to Leadership Central if you're an officer, Club Officer Tools, and then all of those other items are at your disposal. They are distinguished club reports. A lot of our work from a VP of Membership or presidents comes under this membership building programs or other items. So now, again, I want to start you back here with Leadership Central again and show you the Club Central, the Distinguished Performance Reports. Now, this one right here, Club Central, is what I want to make sure people are aware of. As a club officer, you have those privileges. If you are not a club officer, then you won't see any clubs listed that you can choose from. As a matter of fact, you won't be allowed into this section. In my case, I'm no longer a club officer in anything but Herzing Toastmasters, and this is a list of items. If you're like Mohammed or others who are a member of multiple clubs, then you'll get to choose from amongst multiple clubs here. And there you can perform tasks like adding memberships or submit education awards if you're an officer, submit payments, again, if you're an officer, or in our case, you can look at the club's roster. If you're a club officer, this is the same thing I highlighted for others before, I would encourage you, since you have access to the club's roster, that you keep in mind that the materials that are there are not items that you spend a lot of time visiting or showing on tutorials, for instance, because people's contact information is sitting there. So you can also go here to go make sure you're familiar with who the club officer assignments are and when they were done, Geraldine or Barbara or myself as officers for this club. You can get back into Club Central and do your financials or the district performance reports. These are all items that are unique to being able to do them in the context of being a club officer. So again, you're logged in, Leadership Central. Club Central is where you conduct club business. But then this is the one that Mohammed and I have talked about in the past, and I want to make sure that people can get to it and are familiar with how to utilize it. Again, from Club Central, Leadership Central, you can go directly to Distinguished Performance Reports, whether you are an officer or not. So I'm going to log out to make sure you can see that this is available to you, whether you're an officer or not. Leadership Central, Distinguished Performance Reports, and then you would select a district. You can come down to District 68. And this dashboard right here is basically what I had, as well as most district officers have, bookmarked so that they can look at it all the time. This is the end of last year's report. So not yet, they haven't yet replaced all the numbers with this year's numbers, because you can see they've got pretty much all zeros for everyone's reports, as well as last year. So let's just look at the three particular ways that you would use this. One is this high-level directory for the paid clubs payments, the division and the area performance reports if you're a division or an area director. But most of the time, folks are going to be looking, who aren't district officers, at club performance. And it's a handy way to go back down through your club. So if you're in Lafayette, is that where Denise, you said you were located? So in Lafayette, you're in Division A. You can go look at either Lafayette or Evangeline and look at their total base at the end of last year, how many goals they've met. For Evangeline, the same thing, and how many CCs. These guys have already put in CLs for the year. Their training goals, they trained 7 people. Cajun Toastmasters trained 4. The club I'm involved with most of the time is my home club is North Shore Toastmasters. We were at the training, so we're in Area 10, Division C. So here's North Shore Toastmasters. We had 4 officers trained, and we submitted our officers list on time. So you can track where people are going. In this case, you can click directly on a club and see we had 19 members. Our base was 19. We need to get to 20 at the beginning of on June 30th. And then you can track these throughout the year. Now, Mohammed would be remiss if we didn't mention this. So we were on the dashboard, but there's also some really handy files that you can look at. So I would encourage you to consider additionally, while you're here under district performance, to look at daily reports, because this keeps track of who's paid their dues. So the October dues renewal statement will be coming up, who submitted their club officer lists on time. This is the complete list of where people submitted their officers list, whether your club is semi-annual or annual. And so it's an easy way to track, and in our case, see whose officers lists were not submitted before the end of last year. Another way to work with these lists is to use this pull-down menu. You can look for educational achievements. I think Mohammed sent out a note just before that said, okay, for for the end of July, these are all of the educational awards received since July 1st. And I believe his Facebook post indicated all of the folks who are doing this. You can sort them by name, you can sort them by member, by the award, but most normally it's either by date or the particular club. So Mohammed had indicated to me that he wanted to get back to questions here at about a time frame of 25 to 30 minutes. So I want to return back to this main menu for a second to get folks back on target with where these other items are. You can keep track of new clubs here, people's sponsors and mentors, what prospective clubs exist. So for instance, this is the one in New Orleans that is Sydney Ray. That would be the Launchpad, NOLA, Toastmasters that they're trying to put together. So there's a lot of different reports here that people have at their disposal. There's a number of additional reports here which we can get to at a later time. But let's just get back to our main Toastmasters website and just highlight these 5 high-level items. By the way, if you're on a phone, these all show up with the 4 horizontal lines. You'll get to Education, Membership, Leadership Central, and Resources from there. So again, just going across the top, Education gives you a link to the picture that shows you the current educational process, the traditional educational program as a for instance, and it says Distinguished Toastmaster, the speech craft, and the different items that are available. Then Pathways, or if you're in membership, that's a real commonplace. The new member experience link is the one we just went through, and the club experience is where individuals went to get that video. So if you were looking forward for them, you can see them this way. So home, membership, club experience, that's where this club experience video was located.
Hello, I'm Roskella.
Okay, so come back to membership again. There are lots of other links on here that you can provide to people, and it gives you these items here, including the icebreaker project. But now the part that always fascinates me the most is that people who are standing there most of the time will ask, where would you suggest that we start people? My recommendation almost all the time is that you start them on this link right here, send them to the club experience, and then get them into this new member experience page. It'll help them to understand how new members work, how to join, things like that. Okay, one last item that I wanted to go to is not sitting on the website, but it is sitting on my training materials, and I can forward these ahead to folks directly. There are lots of other links that we're not going to go through right away here, but these are specific to the membership people. But the membership application is the most difficult item to find on the Toastmasters website. It sits right there on the primary page right here, the resource library, and it shows membership applications, clubs within districts, and it's English, and this is the form that you're looking for. So for those people who aren't aware, the membership application form is a fillable PDF. Again, as I highlighted to people, it has 3 specific pages. These are the 2 you're going to store with your club, and this last piece here is the one you're going to tear away and shred once the documents, application materials are done. And then one other item that I'm happy to forward ahead to various people is the, excuse me, I'm going to go back one website link here. And I can forward this one ahead to people as well. This one right here, people oftentimes can't figure out where the training manuals are located. They're on the resources page again. They oftentimes can't find the Successful Club series, the Leadership Excellence series, the Better Speaker series. All of these are required if you're going to do advanced communications pieces. And then oddly enough, oddly enough, you can actually now, because of Pathways, download the CL manual and the CC manual from website links as well. And then finally, inside the website, if you're at the international homepage, this is probably, if not Google, your favorite item. So if you had wanted to go new member application, you can connect through directly here and then look up charter member applications, clubs within districts in Spanish, and then if you keep working your way down through, it'll get to the one that's in English. So again, these are the ways to go looking through the website. And what I'll do now is head back up to the main page, pass this over to Mohammed. There's plenty more we could discuss, but let's go through what the folks who are here are interested in first. And Mohammed, I'll pass this back to you and we'll start with questions. assuming Mohammed's in a position to ask questions. Mohammed, would you like me to continue on with additional items? Normally, all the rest of you are muted, so I just want to check with Mohammed first.
Yeah, I am muted.
Okay, so Aisha, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Yeah, my question is, I saw when you were showing the club members and their mentors.
Yes.
So,
You want to see where that is again? So Leadership Central, Distinguished Performance Reports. Over here, under Daily Reports.
yes.
And then here's Club Coaches, Club Sponsors, and Mentors. Is that what you were looking for?
All right. Yes, new club sponsors and mentors. So is it something that when our members have mentors, we send it online like this and they have access to seeing it?
This is district level people who've been assigned to mentor specific clubs, not individual club member mentors.
I see.
These are mentors and sponsors for specific clubs. So for instance, any club that has 12 or fewer members is eligible to have a mentor and a mentor assigned to them by the district. This is for new clubs when we're putting a new club together, or club coaches for a club that's have fewer than 12 members. So for instance, there's no current versions of these available. So,
okay.
So for instance, this prospective club, whoops, why is prospective club not showing up anymore? The prospective club that's in New Orleans has the availability of 2 sponsors and 2 mentors.
Okay.
And when they get started, those people are assigned for about a 6-month period of time. But this isn't where you put mentors for individual clubs.
All right. Get you.
Other questions? And Mohammed, you're releasing people to ask questions.
Okay, folks, you guys are very safe to join us in Dallas. We're just kidding, but we don't have any newscasters.
Okay. If there aren't specific questions from someone, I'm not sure where Mohammed has headed off to in terms of people raising their hands and asking questions. I'd like to go back.
Okay, Jeff, there's
Yes,
a question in the chat window. The question is, are pages updated for each club showing their statuses as of July 1, 2018, Toastmasters year?
Yes, there's a specific line. I'm not exactly sure where that chat window was that I'm not seeing, but let's just go ahead and look over here. I'm assuming that what you're looking for is on this Leadership Central Distinguished Performance Reports. You wanted to be here under District 68, and you were asking a question then about whether these are maintained for every club all year long. I would say the under club performance reports, every one of these are updated every morning by Toastmasters International. And throughout the year, this is the report this is what it looked like as of June 31st. And then it got updated again on August 1st. So it's not updated again today yet. But every club in the district that we have is listed in here by its division and its area. Does that answer your question?
So who updates it? The
This is
district?
World Headquarters. This is World Headquarters updates these materials. If you add a member, then it'll show an additional member listed here. So here's this club, for instance. Kenner Toastmasters added 2 members so far.
Okay.
But in the training, in this year's first training, they only had 1 officer trained. So they're not going to be able to make this training goal because they needed to have at least 4. They have, however, added 2 members. This club's added 1 member. This club, Celebration Toastmasters, has had 2 CLs submitted. So they've made these 2 goals already, and that's what's reflected here. Their base membership 21. They've added 1 more member, so now their membership to date is 22.
I see.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in your case, Aisha, here's North Shore. You're the president of North Shore. So up here under Area 10, here's North Shore. We started with a base of 19. We've added no members. We did train 4 officers, and we submitted our officer list on time.
Okay. So
Jeff,
we'll be
it's
working on.
Annie. Why don't you open one of those up so they can see the individual report?
Okay, I'll be happy to do that. We did that for Lafayette Club. Would you like to do it for Evangeline instead?
It doesn't matter, just pick one.
Okay, here's Evangeline's Club. They started with a base of 25. They've added 3 members. Right here, you can see they added 3 members. They've had a submitted leadership award, and they had 2 leadership awards submitted. They trained 3 of 4 officers so far. They need to train 4 before the end of August. This is June to August. They have 1 more officer to train in this training period, which ends at the end of August. So Evangeline needs 1 more officer trained. They did submit their officer list on time, and when they pay one of their dues on time, they'll meet this other goal here. Again, they've already met 2 of their goals. The important goal for them is they have to get at least 20 members by July 1st of 2018. Also, it shows you they chartered on July 1st, 1985. So there's a wealth of information available to you. If the Evangeline Club wanted to see who they've had for educational awards so far, they could go here, sort on Evangeline. And Evangeline has had Annie Savati. Ta-da. Annie's got 2 awards submitted already, an ALS and a DTM, and that's why they have 2 leadership awards. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So Chick Miller, for instance, had his leadership excellence, his ALS, and his DTM. That was 3 items submitted in the 2nd week of July. So you can sort person or whatever, and if you wanted to, you can go back and check the person's archive, so that if you wanted to look back through and see who submitted educational awards at the very end of last year, right at the very end. So that Christy Fultz submitted her DPM the last day of the calendar year. These are all people whose educational awards counted towards their club's leadership. So Aisha, here's an example. North Shore.
Yeah.
Let's see, this is who submitted educational awards for North Shore last year. So Lee Wilzinski was our person doing an ALS, a DTM, and his leadership excellence. Those were the only educational awards submitted for North Shore. You can see the club up in Angie did quite a few. So those are handy tools, not just for club officers, but also for just individuals, because you don't have to be logged in to Toastmasters International to get to these. And all of the districts are available here to review, not just District 68. Okay.
So do individuals submit their award themselves, or it has to be through the officials of the club to help them submit the award?
Yes. Okay. Well, let's go back here real quick, and we'll go back and we'll log in, and I'll give you an example again.
Because this is an important thing to understand. If somebody completes their CC or CL or ACL, do they just go straight and submit their?
It could submit them by paper, or any of the club officers can submit their educational award for them. The only officers who can't submit an educational award are if you're submitting it for yourself. So Leadership Central, when you're logged in, Club Central, submit education awards. So for instance, I can submit an education award. I can submit an education award for our club members. I can look at the report. So here's the club. Here are the club members I can choose from. I can't submit for myself, but if I wanted to submit one for Barbara, I'd choose Barbara's name, She's working on her advanced communication bronze right now. She's already done her CC. I could submit her advanced communicator bronze. It gives me the list of her information and contact information. I'll try and stay away from those. And then I can supply the different pieces of information required. So if you're going to do a CC, then the CC, if you skip past that, it gives you the list of awards, a list of speeches to submit. You put their date, the name of the speech, and the title for the speech.
I see.
And so any of these awards are submittable online.
I see.
And the only reason I was trying to skip past was so that I didn't have let me just skip right past here, enter the application details. So this is what the next screen looks like. You're going to type the project, the title, and the date, and then review the application and submit it.
So you have written, you have to list out all the person's titles before the person completed the CC and the dates they did it.
Well, and this is a repeat of what's listed in the back of their manual.
Yeah. But do you have to wait till the time they complete the 10?
Yes.
Before you fill in all this?
Correct. You fill this out at the time you're submitting the final award. It's not something you keep track of in the interim. People keep track of those awards in the VP of Education might have a spreadsheet, or they might be using Easy Meeting or some other tool. But when it comes time to submit them, you put all 10 titles, all 10 dates, and then submit the application.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why now in Pathways, that'll keep track of them as they go, but at present time, it's the VP of Education responsibility to keep track. Make sense?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. Others, please. Another couple of items that I wanted to show people that are part of a link right here. At the very top of this, I'm happy to forward this to anybody who wants to. This is one that most people aren't really familiar with, which is this membership achievement PDF. There are lots of folks who have never seen it before. And let me see if I've got the membership achievement PDF sitting on this. Okay, this is an item that I recommend that most everyone download, which is, here's the person's name, their club. It shows the list of new members, of what their path is. It goes through and allows them to keep track of what their speeches are that they've done, what the requirements are, for instance, for a AC Bronze or the different educational awards. But what makes it most fascinating to me is most people have no idea what the advanced manuals are and what the general description of them is. So entertaining speakers, speaking to inform. They've seen people speaking from these advanced manuals, but they don't know what they are. This particular one happens to show all the list of them. So for instance, when I first started, I wanted to do technical presentations, the professional speaker, persuasive speaking. Some people want to do communications on video. You were watching Jean talk about this the other night, Aisha, that she and another person in the club want to do the communicating on video projects.
Yes.
Others do storytelling, interpersonal communications. I've done the humorous speaking manual. So those are all advanced manuals, and a complete track for how people are doing their competent leader, what the requirements are.
Okay, so I have a question quickly right now. Currently, our can I ask? Sorry, I just caught you. Can I ask? Hello?
Go ahead.
Thank you. So the humorous speaking is the agenda for the district right now. Is it anyone, even who hasn't got a CC, who is just about to get a CC, can do the humorous speaking, even though it's an advanced communicator?
The upcoming fall contest is the combination of humorous speech contest, which has
And
no minimum speech requirement other than that you be a paid club member, and table topics, which has no requirement other than you be a paid club member at the time of the contest. Unlike in the spring, when you have the international speech contest, which has a minimum requirement of 6 speeches, the evaluations contest, which is held in the spring, has no minimum other than being a paid member.
So anyone can go in for it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, but then if they do go for it, can we record it for them on somewhere as like an ACL, even though they've not done their CC? Or is there any room for CC for humorous speaking?
I'm not sure. Can you repeat the question? I'm not sure what you were driving at there.
If any one of the members registers to be to take part in the humorous speech contest, and they are yet to complete their CC,
they do not need to have completed their CC. No.
No, but then we should record it somewhere that they've achieved something as per humorous speaking. Can we just go straight and put it in for the ACL?
The humorous participation, humorous contest doesn't count towards any educational awards.
Oh, I see. Doesn't count?
If they're doing that speech as speech 7 or 6 or whatever, that's as a regular speech, but there's no specific credit that's given for participation in a speech contest.
Okay.
Jeff, I have a couple of questions in the chat window.
Go ahead.
The first question that Maria has is, how long does it take once you submit info to get the award? Is it mailed to the member or sent to VPE? I think Maria is referencing the letter that's sent to the employer, if I'm not
Right. Well,
mistaken.
if we go back to where the submissions are made, then when the person makes the submission, let's see if I'm still logged in here, Leadership Central, Club Central, when they finish that submission, let me just race past Barbara's contact information here so we can get to that screen. Herzing. Sorry. Come on. And then send the application. Once this particular set of information is filled out and you review the application and submit it, it's immediately registered in World Headquarters, like right away, and you'll see that it won't necessarily be captured on any of those dashboard forms, but your club will immediately show, and that person's profile will immediately show them having completed that award. And then the email, or whatever, assuming you've sent an email to their boss, those emails are sent essentially that day as soon as the award is completed, and then the Vice President of Education gets a listing for that, as well as the person who submitted the application, the officer who submitted the application, and the member themselves. Does that answer your question, Maria?
I'm sorry. This is Shirley Birch with Toastmasters Central Link. Are you saying that once someone completes their CC or DL or whichever manual and is submitted, that an email or letter comes that day?
Yes.
Yeah, so they're
not going to
just add to that.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Jeff. Yeah, so the members and the officers receive an email, and you have the option to send a letter to your manager. So the previous screen had an option where you can just send a letter to your boss if you like, and it will be a physical letter that will be sent via snail mail.
Okay, so check on that. And while we're in that, another one was when we reach distinguished or president distinguished and all of that, where we could get some type of letter from headquarters on those as well.
There is a letter that comes to the club president that talks about your club being president's distinguished, but it's not something that's specifically forwarded to your company's leadership. You're free to forward it.
Okay, so I'm the president and I've not received that for Toastmasters CenturyLink.
My recommendation would be, quite honestly, would be to go back to Toastmasters CenturyLink's webpage, Distinguished Performance Reports, and actually show that the club was distinguished by going into their membership form for the previous year. Mohammed, you're not familiar with any, we're not sending out from the district any specific item, are we?
No, we are not, and I don't think Toastmasters has sent the letter and the ribbon to any of the clubs yet. I'm not aware of any clubs that have received. You should be receiving something soon. To the best of my knowledge, none of the clubs have received anything yet.
Okay.
They will.
More questions?
Yeah, so in relation to the educational award, so from all indication, if any of the members complete any of their levels, maybe like a CC or CL or ACL, we just go enter it online at the submit education award, and then we expect an email, and members and officers will receive an email. And if any of the members who got the award want to send it to their offices, they could do that. Forward it, right? My question now is,
or excuse me, or when the person is submitting the educational award, they can ask the member that they're submitting the award on behalf of, they can ask them for whatever the contact information is for that manager. That's part of the submission.
oh, okay, yeah.
They can do it themselves later on, or they can request that it be done as a letter from World Headquarters.
Okay. All right. So then the other question is, if they have to, when they get the award, do they get a certificate, or you wait for a conference before they get the award given to them? Like, is it a district conference where they get maybe like the badges?
You'll get, so there's two ways that information arrives, three actually. The first thing is you'll receive confirmation electronically that the award has been submitted and accepted, but it's electronic. The second item that you'll get is approximately within 10 business days, you'll receive a manila envelope that includes the Competent Communicator Award, or whatever your specific award is, on an 8.5 by 11 piece of award paper showing that's Competent Communicator. If it's a Distinguished Toastmaster, it's a plaque. But the other awards are essentially an 8.5 by 11 form award. And then additionally, at both the fall get-together, now not a conference, as well as at the spring, then the district, assuming that they're still doing it at the Hall of Fame Awards, will call up people by name to receive their awards, whether it be a pin for the Competent Communicator pin, or an Advanced Communicator pin. That's the way the district has been doing it for the last several years. You get a paper award from World Headquarters. The district has been buying the award pin to go with a CC, for instance.
All right, so.
Are you still planning to do the same thing, Mohammed, this year?
Yes, and Annie is planning to do the same thing this year. And the awards at the district conference and the pins are presented to only those who attend the conference or the event.
Okay.
Hi, Jeff. This is Maria.
Hi, Maria.
Hi, I have a question about pathways. Can you briefly touch on that? My question is that something that y'all talk about, or is it kind of hush hush?
Okay, Mohammed, here's why it wasn't spoken about at the TLI to any degree. When Pathways was first announced as a program, it was the Revitalized Education Program. I'm the Pathways Chief Ambassador for this program, and we have 3 ambassadors: David Reed for the Baton Rouge area, Kathleen Newsom for the New Orleans area, and David Reed for Division A, more or less. Those 3 people I keep informed as to what the updates are. I go to a chief ambassador conference call along with Mohammed probably once every quarter. They update us on where things are. The program has been started. They've finished their pilots, and they're now implementing on a pilot district by pilot district basis. Then, once they've completed those, and they're rolling them out at a month to a month and a half to 2 months each. As that pace starts to pick up, then they'll be implementing regions at a time. A region is a collection of 8 or 9 districts. We are region 8. Our region is the last region to be implemented. So it could take, it's unclear how long, but it could take well over a year before they get to our district, before they get to region 8, and by default, our district. In the meantime, that's where the dilemma occurred as people started talking about it. They see articles about it in the Toastmasters magazine, but it is not being rolled out simultaneously across the world. It's being made available to people to understand. You can actually go through the icebreaker project is available to anyone to try online to just see the way it works. It's a demo of the way the first program will work. But essentially Pathways has probably, I believe there's 12 potential pathways for a person to follow. They would do an interview process online along with their mentor that would help them to discover what pathway they're interested in pursuing. Again, an example I would give you would be most of Pathways includes a portion of what used to be part of the CC manual and portions of what parts of advanced manuals. There are new programs and new pathways. They're all new developed material, but they all follow the same Toastmasters leadership and communications guidelines. But we'll be pursuing the current legacy program for the time being, all the way through to the time they roll it out in Region 8. So now, once they roll it out in Region 8, we'll have received 3 months, I believe, notice, at which point in time Mohammed or whomever is the next district director will then appoint a series of Pathways guides. The guides will have received training, and then they'll help each of the area directors and the club VPs of education and officers to use and establish the new program amongst their club. And then once it's rolled out for the region, there will be another 2-year period of time when people can work in either the new Pathways or the old legacy program. So basically, I would say to you that whatever you're working on, you'll probably have 3 years to work on it from now till switch completely over to Pathways. Does that answer your question, Maria?
You were very thorough, and I appreciate that. Yes.
Okay.
We have time for one more question. Do we have any other questions?
And
Jeff,
Maria,
do you have any final thoughts?
just to show folks that if you were, Maria, if you were looking for it, in education, it shows education. There's a whole discussion on the Pathways learning experience, where education gets you to the link that says the traditional program or the Pathways learning experience. And then starting on that Pathways learning experience, it describes all the different paths. Here they are. A complete discussion about how it's going to go. And if you wanted to, there's the Pathways Icebreaker project. And if you wanted to play with what it looks like and how it's going to function with videos and supporting materials, that's where you would go to get it done. But again, it will be quite some time. Mohammed, I don't know if you've seen any more recent estimates, but I wouldn't guess more than, I don't think your term will be finished before we get to it. So there's a complete set of how the screens work. You can move to another section and look at the video navigation. There's lots of online materials, but it's essentially your manual done electronically. Okay.
I have one question for the two of you, Mohammed.
Yes, ma'am.
I was recently, my eyes recently opened up on the club, is it the Club Success Program?
Yes.
I know the deadline's approaching for all clubs. Is that something that y'all will plan on including in your webinars? Or something to that effect?
Success program coming up, isn't there?
So we have internal deadlines, and the area directors have requested the clubs to submit their club success plans. We did cover the club success plan in the TLI, but if you need more information, we can consider doing another webinar. It may not be a Wednesday webinar to go over club success plan one more time.
Are you feeling pressure, Maria, that you're not going to get it done?
Actually, we had an officers meeting this evening and we were touching base and we thought we would complete it, but I guess personally, I feel a little overwhelmed, but I know it's not a one-person project. It's our officers, and just spending a little bit more time. And I thought I touched base the pathway, so that's why that question was brought up.
I would recommend you talk to your area director, Marie, and just
Okay.
explain the situation. I'm sure your area director will be happy to help you.
Okay, I will. Thank you so much.
Very good. If there,
Go ahead, Mohammed.
go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say, Maria, you're welcome to send an email to, like you said, your area director, or the short version for me to suggest to you is the Distinguished Club Program and the Club Success Plan is to sit there and say, if these are the 10 goals, the types of educational goals or membership or administration goals, you can ignore the learning pathways learning pieces. It simply says, what are you going to do? What are your expectations for how you're going to meet those goals? Who do you think is going to get competent communicator awards, and how are they going to get there? And who do you think is likely to be doing them? So it's a path you're trying to put in place that shows how you're going to achieve that.
All right, so it could be very brief statements on the responses, and then take it from there. Since we're like, this is like technically our first year. The excuse came up, well, this is our first year, we might not be able to answer most of this, but to allow ourselves a vision, I guess, to know where to go. And we're not the first ones to be chartered in Toastmaster history, so we know that there's and our response is, there is a response to everything.
Absolutely, there's not a response. But what you're trying to do is say, if you're going to talk about the educational program, or you're going to ask people to try and achieve 10 speeches, then they have to try and have some idea as to why they're trying to achieve 10 speeches. So you put an education action plan in place, describe how you're going to help members achieve those awards. And then if you're going to try and achieve those awards, what resources are you going to make available? That's the point.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah, just and can I ask, do I get, can I
Okay.
everything like that. So just walk with the right.
We need to mute somebody here.
Okay, I will mute everyone at this point. Jeff, thank you so much for presenting this session. Our next session will be on next Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. And the next session will be on contests. So if you are a club officer or club member, you'll learn all about how to conduct a contest and how a contest should be run. Our presenter will be Chick Miller. Thank you everyone for participating, and we'll see you on next Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you.